Welcome. For the past decade, Fisher Beavertail Manufacturing has been producing some of the finest shallow water hunting and fishing equipment in the country. We've done this through quality products and quality people. Hello everybody, my name is Mark Fisher. I'd like to take this time to thank you for joining us in this DVD. For the last 3 years, we've been developing what we know to be, and I think you'll come to agree, is the finest shallow water skiff ever produced. Beavertail Manufacturing has been in the shallow water hunting and fishing industry for over the last decade. Everybody that works in our facility, all the ownership, all of us have a hunting and fishing passion. That was what led us into the shallow water skiff market, was our passion for shallow water fishing. As you can see around our office, we love to fish. My family's been in the charter business for a long time. My grandfather chartered in Florida for many, many years. So it's something that we've always enjoyed. So what we did is we took our quality from the aluminum line and our mud motor line and blinds and all the things that we produce for the hunting industry, and we just kind of took that passion and moved it over into the shallow water flats business. And what we're doing is making it affordable. Anybody who knows today, flats boats have gone through the roof as far as pricing goes. And what we've done is came in and gave them an affordable shallow water skiff that will perform better than all the skiffs that are on the market today if they truly want to do shallow water fishing. Our manufacturing process with these shallow water skiffs that we're building is pretty unique. We have taken a lot of time to make sure that our quality control is where it needs to be before we present this to the public. First of all, I know where people run shallow water skiffs because I know what they do with our aluminum line. They're going to run them over oyster bars, and they're going to run them over rocky rivers, fishing smallmouth in the Mississippi, and they're going to be running them in the mud flats of Louisiana and all the places that you probably shouldn't have a boat, but that's what we have to be ready for. So what we've done is we use a 1-inch core on the bottom of our skiffs, and we vacuum bag our entire boat. And the reason that we do this is because if we want to go in shallow water, we have got to make sure that we keep our weight down. So we vacuum bag our entire hull, and that vacuum bagging process draws it through the core, pulls the resin out, and you get a lot lighter skiff, and you get a lot stronger skiff. We have no wood construction in anything we do in these hulls. And I think you're going to find at 450 pounds, you can run over oyster bars, you can bang up against some of the granite. You know, I spent all yesterday fishing in the Mississippi River, smallmouth fishing, and we ran over I don't know how many granite boulders. Didn't hurt the bottom. Now it may scratch your bottom. If that's offensive to you, then I would stay out of those areas, but it's truly made for that. You can run through those places and feel safe that you're going to get back home. So the hull is built extremely well, and we take a lot of time to make sure that our layup schedule is proper and that everything is done with the customer in mind, the customer's safety in mind. For those of you who haven't had an opportunity to see our boat in person, a lot of you see it on the internet, a lot of you see it on this DVD. Let me walk through a couple of things that, if you're a fisherman like myself, that may be of interest to you. If you're a fly fisherman, we have a 7-foot casting deck with 0 obstructions. Non-skid is integrated right into the deck. Most of the time you don't get 7 feet in a 17-foot, 8-inch boat. It's a lot shorter deck than that. You're going to have a 1-foot walk around on the gunnels. So if you're chasing a big tarpon, you can walk it all the way around the boat, make sure it doesn't get caught in the trim tabs of the motor or whatever. You can walk it around the boat. Also, if you get to the back of the boat, if you're the guy pulling, it's tremendous. 450 pounds, you can pull this boat into a headwind, crosswind. It tracks well. I can promise you there is zero hull splash. Zero hull splash on this hull. You can sneak up to redfish. I've spent time in the mosquito lagoons, and in 6 or 8 inches of water, if there is any hull slap, they get into the no feed speed and they're gone. This boat, you can literally scare them with the boat when you're over the top of them. And that's something I was never able to do in other skiffs that I had. Another thing we did to run shallower was we took the poling platform and we moved it off of the stern and moved it up a few feet so that we have better weight displacement. In the cockpit of this boat, you've got 6 rod tubes that are integrated into the front bulkhead for rod storage. But what's really nice is that we use a side console on this. And I tell you what, I've had center console boats, and I have nothing against them. But I just didn't like all the room that it took. I can put 3 people in my boat comfortably. I can have a cooler in there. I don't have to walk around it. And the side console is something where all of my stuff is integrated in that side console. I've got my tack and trim tabs and everything else. But what's nice about it, easy to clean when you go to wash this boat. It's out of the way. It's nice and low, so when you sit down, it's comfortable to run. But the beauty of it is it doesn't take the room out of the boat if you're working a fish. And any of you that have fished enough know that it's a pain in the butt when you're stumbling around a center console sometimes. So for the fishermen, it's an absolute fishing machine. You've got storage. You got 4 storage compartments in the back, 1 storage compartment in the front bulkhead. We've got a 21-gallon live well system in our boats. The beautiful part about this live well system is I decided that I was going to put 2 aeration systems in it. I wanted to make sure that when I was running, that if I couldn't pull water, I don't like to pull water because the boat's so flat on the back, and if we're running over oyster bars or anything real shallow, I don't want to rip that pickup off of the bottom. So my pickup's on the back. So as you're running, you need to run the secondary aeration system. And when you're sitting, you can pump 500 gallons an hour through the freshwater system, which is absolutely critical if you've got pilchards or greenies and things like that, and you want to keep them alive if you're a live bait fisherman. So you've got a 21-gallon live well that's available in these boats. You've got 2 compartments in the back for storage in the sponsons, and you've got an electrical panel that's on the starboard side that's also storage. Speaking about electrical, our electrical systems, we have an electrical engineer that works for us that does all of our rigging. When you get a boat from us, I can guarantee you that you're not going to have an electrical problem down the line because it wasn't inside a chafing gear, that it wasn't put together well. It's all stainless parts. It's an interesting thing that sometimes people think because they don't spend $35,000 on a flats boat that you can't get all stainless hardware, that you can't get vacuum bagging, that you can't get the best gel coats. I would venture to say that our welder that does our towers is the finest aluminum welder in the country or one of them. And I would challenge anybody to take a look at our welding. Our quality will match up with anybody in the country. You just don't have to charge everybody $25,000 to $35,000. It's not necessary. So I think what's interesting about this boat is not only do you get the quality in the electrical systems, the live wells, the storage compartments, but you do it at a better price than everybody else. One other thing that we did that might be different than everybody else is we put our fuel storage systems underneath the casting deck. The reason I did this was I know for a fact that aluminum tanks over time are going to have to be replaced. They're going to oxidize and they're going to need to be replaced. I've got a friend down there that had a $1,500 bill the last time he had to get his cap taken off and a new aluminum tank put in. I don't want to deal with that. With the cost of fuel, I don't want to fill up at the marina. So what I did is we made it so that it's available that you can get end-to-end plastic fuel cells in there, and you can literally pull them out, put them in your truck, bring them uptown, get the best price of fuel that you can find, put them back in your boat, and with a 40 horse, you can literally run for a day, and you'll run 6 gallons of fuel out of this boat because it's light enough that it just doesn't suck a lot of fuel. speaking of capacities, a lot of folks ask me about capacities. You can run 3 people comfortably in this boat, comfortably, and you'll still run 30 plus miles an hour with a 40 horse, 2-stroke or a 4-stroke. They're about the same weight now. We use Lenco trim tabs if somebody chooses to use trim tabs. I would suggest that trim tabs aren't even an option on this boat. They're pretty much mandatory. This boat has a 45-degree entry, and I got a 0-degree dead rise in the back. So it's what we call a variable plane hull. What that means is that once it's up on step, if you have some chop or boat wakes or whatever it might be, and you got to cut across a bay and it's starting to pick up on you, you can trim that motor down, and literally that 45-degree entry literally will bust that water, and you'll have the smoothest ride you could absolutely imagine for a 450-pound boat, because you can control what you're doing with the trim tabs. If it's calm out, you can run it on the back. You can run it on that 0 degree. With the trim tabs, it gives you the options of running that nose in the water. And it also is nice if I'm the only guy sitting in the boat and it's listing a little bit starboard, you can trim it up to where you're running nice and level if you choose to fish by yourself. Our drainage system, we do not drop an insert inside our boat. It's basically a self-bailing cockpit because we have a 1-inch floor, so there's actually a compartment that goes back to the splash well and bilges out, or there's plugs in it, but it's automatic bilge, or you have an override system on it also. So you never have any water in your feet sloshing around, even though there's not that heavy insert that you put into it. So it's almost like a self-bailing cockpit, but if you get everybody to stand on the back of the boat, a self-bailing cockpit sometimes takes water in the back. This doesn't happen with this boat. So there's a tremendous amount of features on this boat for around $15,000 that you would find on a $30,000 flats boat. It's going to be a great opportunity for guides to make some money right off the top. A guide could get in this boat and make money because he's got $15,000, $16,000 stuck in it instead of $35,000 stuck into his flats boat, and he can do anything and go anywhere that his other flats boat did. And I venture to say that he can go in shallow. I know he can go in shallow water. We draft 3 3/4 inches loaded. Now, if anybody questions that, they can go down, if they're in Florida, they can go down to Stewart, take one of our demo boats for a ride, or they can go on the west coast of Florida and take, we've got them over in Fort Myers area. They can go take a test ride on these boats and see if it truly drafts 3 3/4 inches of water. Because a lot of people can make those claims, but very few people can make that really work. And you have to do that by building them light, but you also do it by the design of your hull. So for anybody that chooses to buy this boat, they're going to have an opportunity to fish places that they've never fished before, but they're going to be able to do it at a reasonable price. There's 2 different ways to power this skiff. You can put your standard outboard motor, whether it be a 2-stroke or a 4-stroke. The weights are about the same on those motors now, so if you choose to still run a 2-stroke because you want to save a little bit of money, you can do that. They're still as quiet. Some of the new 2-strokes are just fantastic. Something that's exciting that we did last year was we tested our surface drives and our long-shafted mud motors on these boats. And if you're the guy, I tell you what, if you're the guy that wants to redfish in a place where it's only 6 inches of water for 10 miles to get there, you can run across, if you call up and I'm in the area, I'll personally take you out for a ride. I can take you through 4 to 6 inches of water with one of our mud motors at 30 miles an hour. We put less damage on the bottom than an outboard does because we're running that prop on the surface. It's made for that. We don't have intakes on these surface drives and on our mud motors. So for somebody that truly, like the Louisiana guide that's fishing in that Delacroix, Lafitte, Venice area, Mobile Bay in Alabama, where it's pure mud for mile on top of mile, but it's only, you might get caught on an outgoing tide, and it leaves you with 3-4 inches. You can literally, with our mud motors, run across that at 25 or 30 miles an hour. Can you imagine the opportunity for the guides with this boat? Never have to worry about ever blowing another power head. because it's overheating. This thing will literally run anywhere you want to go. You'll get in places that you've never gone before. It's exciting. On this DVD, we're going to show you some video of a surface drive on a shallow water skiff doing some things that most guys with a shallow water skiff couldn't even imagine doing. One thing that's pretty exciting about this is we sell factory direct in our mud motors, our duck hunting boats, our blinds, all that. 99% of the stuff we do is factory direct. What we're planning on doing with this flats boat, and what we have been doing, everything is going to be direct from Beavertail. We're going to have some reps out there in the field that will show you the boat, take you out for a ride, let you take it home and fish it for a weekend if that's what it takes, if you really want to get the feel for it. The beautiful part of it is, right now, and I'm not saying we're not going to go to a dealer network at some point, but at this point, if somebody wants to take the opportunity that's at hand and buy a boat at a better price, because I promise you the dealers are going to add some money to these boats, you can buy this boat right now and really get rid of the middleman. And like I said, we're probably going to go to a dealer network down the road sometime, but at this point, for the next year, the consumers have a great opportunity to buy a boat direct from the factory at better prices than they'll ever see them again. So if somebody's thinking about it, for gosh sakes, call us and at least give yourself an opportunity to take a ride in the boat. And if you're looking to save some money and have the same thing that your buddy spent $35,000 on, here's your chance. From all of us at Beavertail Manufacturing, we'd like to thank you for joining us in this DVD, and we hope you enjoyed it. From the great Gulf Coast of Texas to Louisiana, all the way down to the Florida Keys, we hope to see you out there.
Fisher Beavertail.